What's going on, everybody? My name is Wes Moore. I'm the governor of Maryland. This is the first political office I've ever held, and today I am surrounded by voting rights. If your voting rights were not so important, why is the dismantling of the Voting Rights Act so egregious? The reason
over time, I mean, the 1929 Act that I'm referring to. Yeah. So, I think about the Constitution. I think about, I'm a big history nerd. So, one of the only things that Washington mentioned in the convention was that we need one representative for every 30. That was 100 years ago.
Yeah, but think about it. It was also 100 years ago? I was considered 3/5 of a man.
Well,
so my point is we needed people.
I don't know.
Maybe not 100 years ago, but you know what I'm saying? But this has been an evolution.
Women didn't have voting rights in 1929.
That's exactly
so I'm
right.
not saying it's perfect.
Correct.
But it was definitely more representative.
That we have seen in our nation and probably in generations. The day before they did that, you know what I did in Maryland? I actually signed the Voting Rights Act of Maryland for 2026.
And so that's coming up in 2030. Yep. I see there's one movement called Uncap the House. I don't know if you've heard of it. Yep. But yeah, I don't.
Sanders and Kamala Harris at the last election. But then I got pissed off. 2 years they sat on the overturning of Roe and Wade when they had the White House.
That states actually do have authority too. Because right after Roe v. Wade fell, and basically something that was the last months after I was elected as governor, is I said, we're going to make sure that in Maryland, that does not stand. And actually, we made
disadvantages of what contraception do, especially oral contraception, because one of the reasons why the far right are
foreign interest groups like the Israelis and the Arab states, and the Citizens United ruling that flooded our entire system.
When they saw that our campaign was gaining momentum, despite the fact that when I first started running, I was polling at 1%. And I realized this, though, we ended up getting donations from literally every single county in our state. And while people were averaging, donations of thousands, exactly the kind of stuff that we wanted to address. It's the reason the first executive order I signed when I became the governor was an anti-corruption executive order.
And I just want to clear some things. In 1968, a comedian named Dick Gregory won.
Happen. For example, the stuff that we have done within our state, where we have made the largest investments in our HBCUs in the history of the state of Maryland. The fact that we have done in the history of the state of Maryland. The fact that we have done things like the largest mass pardon in the history of the United States of America. And let's be clear about who that most directly.
And I think that's a little disingenuous, because think about 1791 in August, the Haitian Revolution. What happened? They literally congregated. Think about Black Wall Street. What happened during Black Wall Street? We literally united and said, hey, look at us. We could build our own system. Unfortunately, my brother earlier came by and said we have lobbyists. We have people. There's a 2014 study that was done by Benjamin Price.
When Congress, I understand. When Congress passed that H.R. 1, that big, beautiful bill.
That's beautiful, okay.
Which passed by one vote.
Under whose presidency? What happened was, and I have their names here so I don't mess it up.
Okay.
Forgive me. Tina Lamb and Michael Clerks, first-generation immigrants, basically built their way up to saving $90,000 to purchase a cul-de-sac in a rich neighborhood. It was called the Presidio Terrace. And essentially, what we
do right now, when we have a Congress that is trading stocks, despite having insider information, when we have a president of the United States who in the insider information, when we have a president of the United States who in the first quarter of this year alone has now done over 3,700 stock trades. That did not happen. Do you think that we would have legislation in Maryland that says for every governor from here on out, they need to put their assets in a blind trust? Had we not had elections not matter, would we have a situation where now in Maryland, I have banned prediction trading for anyone who works for the state of Maryland? Because no, you cannot do investing in stocks and lifting companies up and then them getting DOD contracts like what we just saw with Dell. And so these utility companies, and we have capped compensation for these utility executives. Elections matter. When we turn Maryland from a red state to a nation and hosing people based on the data they have on their cell phones and adjusting prices because they're actually using your data against it, well, Maryland became the first state.
Does what about that?
Well, let me tell you what voting does. For example, in 2022, Baltimore City was averaging about a homicide a day. That for the 7 years to be able to address the problem. Do you know what's happened since 2022? The violent crime rate in the state of Maryland is down nearly 50%. It is the fastest drop anywhere. The crime rate in the state of Maryland is down nearly 50%. It is the fastest drop anywhere in the United States of America. In Baltimore City, the last time the homicide rate was this low, announced that I was running for re-election. Do you know one of the first people that announced that he was going to support me for my re-election was lifelong Republican mayor when we've watched ICE go from an agency that had $10 billion of funding to now being an agency that's $85 billion in funding. $1 billion of funding to now being an agency that's $85 billion in funding. That the fact that ICE right now is bigger than the FBI. ICE is bigger than the ATF. ICE is bigger than the DEA. ICE has a budget bigger than the state of Maryland right now, right? After the governor of Maryland is we made Maryland the first state in the country that now has a service year option for all of our high school graduates. Where everyone it right, then let me go ahead and have a take at it. When I first ran for governor, there were literally about a dozen people running for governor. Statewide.